Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Observation Reactions. We just got a new, possibly the final Eternals trailer just dropped today. And we thought we'd do a little reaction for you. I
Yes,
saw
indeed.
some interesting thumbnails on YouTube
Mm.
explaining the trailer, and it made me curious, but I didn't want to watch it and potentially spoil anything without consulting you first and doing this live. So, um,
Yeah, yeah. So just to offer a little bit of context to people, as you said, this just popped up out of nowhere this morning, and you were the first to catch it, and of course we both knew this is one that we just had to react to. Of course, this isn't actually the first time we've discussed the Eternals on this channel. One of our first ever videos was a reaction to the original Eternals teaser.
yep.
That video actually remains our most successful video to date, so no pressure for this.
You guys better support.
uh, yeah, yeah, all you Eternal stands out there. We know that there's a lot of you. um, but yeah, I think would it be fair to say that we both were impressed by that first teaser?
I think it would be fair. I would definitely say I'm a little more skeptical. I'm a very
Mm.
skeptical person, but just because I'm not familiar with the characters at all, but visually and I think we're both, assuming that Chloe Zhao is just going to do a fantastic job. I think we both have a ton of confidence.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I remember being quite impressed with the Eternals teaser, which honestly, I mean, it was branded as a teaser. It really functioned more like a trailer because I
Yeah.
mean, it was like about 2 minutes long, and it showed us a good amount. It was a nice little amuse-bouche of information that you should know, just to kind of get people primed for the idea of the Eternals, because of course it's going to be impossible. I mean, the high concepts they're going to try to broach in this movie are going to be impossible to lay out, really clearly in any 2 minute snippet. But I think that first teaser did a great job of just kind of giving people the bare, just the bare essentials of what you need to know going in. And, I remember being very impressed by it, really impressed by how good it looked. It looked outstanding. And of course, the cast is fantastic. And as you said,
Hmm.
Chloe Zhao, one of the most talented filmmakers out there right now. So, the current best director holder,
Yeah.
at the Oscars. So, um, a lot riding on this. It is. I think it's safe to say that this truly is quite different to anything we've seen from Marvel thus far. Um, it's gonna be something. As you said, I mean, it's hard to even theorize about this movie because there's just so much we don't know. This is diving into a corner of the MCU that we just haven't really explored at all yet.
Yeah.
So, liked the teaser. Have high hopes for this. Let me tell you what I hope doesn't happen. We watched both the Shang Chi teaser, which we didn't react to, and the Shang Chi trailer, which we did. And the Shang Chi teaser was excellent. I thought it did exactly what it needed to do. Took a hitherto unknown MCU character and set them up for a really big, satisfying action spectacle blockbuster. Didn't tell you a lot about the plot. Didn't give the whole thing away, but it got you interested. It
So
got you
just
hyped for the movie.
are you ready for a kung fu superhero?
Exactly. Which I
Right.
mean, of course, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the trailer, while it didn't do anything to blunt that hype at all, I mean, other than Abomination, I don't know that it did anything to enhance my excitement either.
Yeah, it didn't
So,
really add anything new because it still wasn't providing any context. Which,
exactly.
there's arguments on either side for whether that's good or bad, but I
Exactly.
think
So
I
what I'm
think what
hoping,
I think what you're getting at is that we're hoping to see some new stuff in this
exactly,
final trailer
exactly.
and not just the
Yeah,
same shots but mixed up a little bit differently.
exactly. Yes. That's exactly what I'm saying. So what I'm hoping is we don't have a situation where we had a very solid teaser followed up by a trailer that doesn't add much to the discussion.
Yeah.
So, with that, those are my hopes for it, but let's see what we got here.
Before you hit play,
Mhm.
do you have any wagers that this trailer is going to have clips that connect in any way to what we've seen so far in the MCU, particularly like Loki or WandaVision?
That is an excellent question, and
Because in the first one, in the first teaser, or maybe it was the first trailer, there's that scene where they're all like sitting at the table, kind of discussing, and they're like, Captain America is no longer leading the Avengers. Who's going to lead the
mhm,
Avengers? I could do it.
mhm.
Um, so right now, do you think there's going to be another connection like that?
That's a great question. And honestly, I would not be shocked if there was, but I my prediction is going to be I don't think there's going to be anything we see in this trailer that is going to explicitly link to previously established characters or events. I mean, something might be mentioned verbally, like as you said with the Captain America and the Avengers moment at the end of the teaser. But other than that, I would be not I would be surprised but not shocked if we saw in this trailer someone that we know,
Yeah,
or a heavy leaning on an established plot point, just because it's still really a big question mark what real estate the Eternals are going to be occupying in the MCU. This movie is going to be setting up and establishing them so that they can pop up in other things in the future. But as it stands now, this movie is definitely staked out its area as being very much looking backwards at past events that the Eternals have influenced,
yeah,
and not as much the present timeline events of the MCU which are going on. So I would be surprised but not shocked. But my prediction will be nothing more than a vocal mention of other events.
gotcha.
5 years ago, Thanos erased half of the population of the universe. But the people of this planet brought everyone back with a snap of a finger.
Glad that Thanos mentioned
The
too.
sudden return of the population
He is a
provided the
deviant.
necessary energy for the emergence to begin.
Oh,
How long do we have?
7 days.
We're Eternals. We came here 7,000 years ago to protect humans from the deviants.
oh,
Why didn't you guys help fight Thanos? Or any war, all the other terrible things throughout history?
We were instructed not to interfere in any human conflicts unless deviants are involved.
By who?
Oh shit!
oh,
We need to find the others.
whoa.
I haven't seen some of them for centuries.
Hi.
Hello.
This is what the end of the world looks like. At least we have front row seats.
You know what's never saved the planet? Your sarcasm.
We have loved these people since the day we arrived. When you love something, you protect it.
You can't protect. Any of them.
Whoa. Okay.
I bet you've built the perfect safe house. I mean, what's this even made of? Vibranium?
Fall collection. IKEA.
Wow. Okay.
Whoa, that's a lot. Whoa,
Yeah.
Nelly.
No. Wow. Okay. So a lot to talk about there. So right off the bat, what's your first impression?
Um. So, three things. Um, One, we see the giant celestial robot dude.
Yeah.
Um, we've only seen one of those before, which was the Collector explaining why the Power Stone is so sought after. And it's
Hmm.
one of the Celestials using the Power Stone to essentially level a planet.
Yeah.
Um, and it was, thousands of feet tall, thousands of
Yeah,
stories
I mean,
tall.
massive. Like,
Yeah,
it's like we're talking about just about Galactus
yeah,
size, like huge.
yeah. So they're ginormous. I don't know if we'll see one like. I guess I want to say in person. I think the only context in which we'll see one is in like a flashback,
Hmm.
kind of explaining the origins of the Eternals. Um, it would surprise me if they had direct contact with it. I can only call it because I don't really know what else to call it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to have a name or any kind of identity. It's just kind of this looming figure.
Yeah.
Two, um, we got laser eyes,
Mm.
which it's fine, but it's kind of a basic superpower, I guess.
I
I don't
suppose.
know. Laser eyes these days only remind me of Superman and Homelander.
Yes.
Those are the only vibes I get from laser eyes.
Yeah.
And one of them is a dumb character because he's invincible, and the other is a psychopath, mass murdering uh, narcissist.
Yeah.
So that made me like, I don't know.
And in fairness, Superman isn't invincible, but your point's well taken.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically invincible. He's overpowered is my point. And then the third thing is that the deviants are creatures,
Mm.
not like strange, weird, enhanced people, but creatures. So we saw
Yes.
like a dog-like one and a bird-like one, and the impression I got is that all of these creatures are being controlled by this person-like one.
Mm.
Um, and based on the visual style, um, I would hazard a guess that they're not going to directly follow the comics in saying that Thanos was also a deviant, and that there's like this deviant gene, but instead deviant is just a different race of beings.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. My first thoughts really kind of line up with yours. First of all, I thought it was a very good trailer. It definitely did what we said we wanted it to do, which was expand on what very limited information we already have about the
Yeah,
Eternals.
yeah. This is
Um,
this had a lot of new stuff in it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that, people are going to take away from this, I mean, obviously there's very headline grabbing visuals, obviously, as you said, the Celestials, being able to see some of them is massive. They're, we know that they created the Eternals, and also created the Deviants, but what role are they going to have in the movie? It's hard to say. Probably will only be in flashbacks, but to be able to see more of them in the flesh is huge.
Yeah,
Also, we got to see Deviants for the first time. That wasn't in the teaser, which also they're taking that in a very interesting, almost like Monster Hunter-esque direction,
yeah,
where they seem to be like these big terrifying creatures. Not quite, of a kaiju scale, but they're definitely major threats.
yeah,
Um, and now they are appearing in the present day and are, I guess, going to start terrorizing humanity, and that's why the Eternals are stepping up. At least some of them are, because some of them also the Eternals fought throughout history, but I guess it's more of an issue now than it was in the past. um and also, and so those were the two big ones, definitely. But for me, I think my biggest takeaway is you had Kit Harington, whose character I believe is the Black Knight or something like that.
yeah. I don't know
um
if he'll be the Black Knight in this, but I
mm,
imagine they're just establishing him so he can later on become the Black Knight. I don't
yeah,
know though. I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. But, you know, of course, he asks the question, and this is, I think, a very pointed choice to include this in the trailer, that all the fans have been asking. You know, everybody who is even a casual Marvel observer has asked the question, well, if these Eternals are so important and powerful, well, where have they been at X event, X event, X event, you know? You know, why didn't they help out during Endgame? Why didn't they help out during Infinity War? And so on and so forth. And Kit Harington asked that question here, and I think that this was very pointed that they included this in the trailer because the conceit is very similar to what we're seeing now with the Watcher in the What If series on Disney Plus, which is the arrangement that the Eternals have is that they are not supposed to interfere. They're just supposed to protect humanity from the deviants. That's their mission brief. That's their job description. And much as they may want to help because they genuinely do care about humanity, um, uh, they it's just not inside their purview to do so.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the biggest takeaway for me because that's what all the fans have been clamoring about. Well, where were they here? Where were they there? And essentially they're saying as well, we were there in the background, you know, and much as we may wanted to have, you know, been more involved, we just couldn't be. So I thought I think that was a very good inclusion for the trailer, and that's my biggest takeaway. But overall, very good trailer. Definitely builds on my enthusiasm for the movie, which is, you know, job number one.
Yeah, this
Um,
this made me very excited to go see Eternals.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell you what, how about we go through this and we just kind of talk about some moments that really stood out to
Yeah.
us. So we start out here, and we have Salma Hayek riding out. It's like some sort of prairie scene, meeting up with Richard Madden.
So yeah, there. I don't know what's up with the house. I guess that's just where one of them is living, like a retired
Mm.
life, or they're together. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's like a couple love triangles within the Eternals, isn't there?
Yes, I believe there is. I think specifically it is Gemma Chan's character who I, Richard Madden, I believe, is in love with Gemma Chan, but Gemma Chan is in love with Kit Harington.
Yeah.
I think that's the main love triangle, if I understand that correctly. Where Selma Hayek fits into that, I'm not sure.
But the people of this planet brought everyone back with a snap of a finger.
So right off the bat, reference to the events of Endgame.
Yep.
The sudden return of
So
the
they're definitely
population
connecting it to, kind
provided
of
the
modern
necessary energy
MCU.
for the emergence to begin.
So the emergence. So they didn't say the emergence of deviants. They said the emergence to begin. It
Yeah,
sounds like the emergence is the name of some kind of plan, probably by the deviants to take over Earth.
yeah, that's a very good question. I'm not sure, but I wanted to ask you, what do you think this is? This
The
impact?
emergence to begin.
At first, I thought because this is going to be really diving into the history of Earth and where the Eternals have been during various events, that this might have been the meteor that killed off the dinosaurs. But it doesn't seem like that's it. It seems like this is some sort of extraterrestrial impact.
Yeah,
Maybe.
so here's my guess.
Hmm.
Which also kind of ties into the kind of whole what I think the plot of the movie is going to be overall.
Mhm.
Eternals land on Earth. They kind of fall in love, help humanity, but aren't allowed to interfere with any of their conflicts unless the deviants are involved. But there are no
Mm.
deviants. And they're just like, this sucks. We just have to sit on the sidelines while humans tear each other apart. And the Eternals end up disbanding.
Mhm.
Aside from, maybe those last two that are still on the lookout for deviants.
Yeah.
And then, when the Thanos snap happens, or maybe the snap that brought everyone back, I don't know which. But post blip, they give this explanation that, there was this surge of energy that, drew the deviants to Earth.
Yeah.
So maybe the deviants are like this kind of energy sucking universe eating group of monsters. Um,
Or if you really want to go out there with it, and I don't think this is actually what it is, but it's an interesting theory. You could even take it in a direction similar to do you remember War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise? Came out like 15 years ago. Um, have you ever seen that
I
one?
haven't, no.
Oh, really good movie. Great. In my opinion, the best War of the Worlds, film
Adaptation,
adaptation.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I won't spoil too much for you, but it's revealed very early on in the movie that typically in the War of the Worlds, obviously, the Martians come down and land on Earth and start invading. But in the Steven Spielberg Tom Cruise film, basically what happens is there are these impacts all over the world, and these impacts, they're not alien craft, but they're like these burrowing devices that go into the crust of the Earth. And essentially, those burrowing devices are the crew of the tripods, and the ships that they pilot are already inside the crust of the Earth. And so those impacts were just the Martians arriving on Earth, and then the ships are already there. And then they rise up to the surface, and they start,
Yeah.
destroying things and killing people. And maybe that could be kind of like what this is. This thing is not necessarily the deviants arriving, but something that's going to
deviants.
activate the deviants.
Yeah. That is possible. For whatever reason, my feeling is that that meteorite crash landing on Earth is modern day. I don't know why I feel that way. But I think that's just, the deviants arrive. Um, and then the two Eternals who notice this are like, oh shit.
Yeah, because
they're
there do seem
finally
to be
here.
some structures here. So
Yeah.
this must be some kind of human civilization.
Yeah, they're like, oh shit, the deviants just arrived. We need to get the band back together and fight them off. And then, the next, probably the whole like first act of the movie is just kind of that typical like heist movie trope where they're just like assembling the crew. And that's
Right.
where you get introductions to like each kind of Eternal and what their power set is and like where they've been all these years.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
That's how I think this movie's gonna play out.
7 days.
That's the one thing that trips me up though, is where do they get that number from? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's like,
that's
the
a good
pod just
question.
landed, and we predict it's gonna take 7 days for the deviants to get to here. Where's here? What continent did the meteorite land in?
Yeah.
So
It's your classic, ticking clock plot device. But where that number comes from or what the significance of it is, they don't really explain.
yeah, yeah. So that, I think that kind of 7 days thing could lean more towards your theory that they've been burrowing and maybe they discover and realize that the deviants are going to merge in 7 days.
Mm. Yeah,
I don't know.
possibly.
I have no idea.
Yeah, we don't really get a good answer to that coming out of this trailer.
And that logo change from like the typical Marvel to like the yellow lines.
Hmm.
I know it's connected to like the Eternals kind of golden energy thing, but it made me so excited because it also looked like the kind of orange energy of the TVA time portal doors.
Yeah, it
And I was
does.
like, wait, is this hinting at what I think it is? And then after reflection, I'm like, no, this is definitely
Oh,
just the
that
golden energy, but
that would be crazy if they took it in that
that would
direction.
be
But
so weird.
yeah, but I do see what you mean though. It looks very similar, both in color and kind of the boxy nature of it.
Yeah.
We're Eternals.
So that's weird. I don't
So
know if they're
Came here
robots.
7,000 years. We came
it seems that if we go back here, so it seems like this must be the Eternals on their ship. Don't know what this is all about.
I think that's a
but
statue of the celestial guy that
yeah,
like
I guess so. Yeah.
created them, ordered them to come to Earth. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we know the Celestials created them, but yeah, what this is about, it's not really clear.
Or what that's about.
We came
Yeah.
here 7,000 years ago.
To me, it seems like a power source, and they're like artificial beings, and that's why they live forever.
To protect humans from the deviants.
That would make sense.
Also, which okay, so he can just fly. That's like he can fly and he has laser eyes.
Yeah,
That's probably why
definitely
Super strong.
Superman-esque.
Yeah, yeah,
But I'll say this: both as a defense to what you said about Superman earlier, and also I think in defense of the Eternals, because I think this may come up coming out of this movie, is Superman. People say, oh, Superman's overpowered, Superman's overpowered, and it's true for Earth level threats and Earth level problems. Yeah, Superman is overpowered. I mean, unless you're like Lex Luthor and you have access to kryptonite, which might be able to slow him down, there isn't an Earth level threat that Superman is going to be, at all challenged by. But that's why when you do bring in a Superman character, at least in the modern day, obviously back in the 30s and 40s, it was very kitschy, getting cats out of trees and that sort of thing.
yeah.
But, in the modern day, you bring out Superman when you have a galactic level threat to deal with, because that is more appropriate to the power level. Not anything on Earth.
Yeah, and I get that, but from like a writing standpoint, having I feel like having kind of a galactic threat doesn't really justify having an overpowered superhero because, that threat is not something that people can relate to. People don't have a sense of danger like that. That's why
And
like
and that's
the
fine.
monster, kaiju movies are not scary because, no one's ever witnessed a monster like trampling 10 buildings, when it's throwing
And
a giant monkey across the city. So people aren't scared by that, but like you see someone like, throwing punches and like breaking guys' necks, people have kind of a sense of, oh, this guy is tough because he just took out like four other dudes on his own. And you
and
can scale that power level to people's real world experiences and expectations.
And I think that's fair, but where I'll disagree is just because you can't relate to a situation doesn't mean you can't still tell a good story
Yeah.
with that situation. And I think, that Steven Spielberg War of the Worlds movie is a great example because of course the level of destruction and just utter the utter impossibility of the scale of the threat because these tripods they are seemingly unstoppable. Like there's no human weaponry that can even slow them down. They're just on a rampage, and it seems like all is lost. They just seem nigh unstoppable. And of course, no one can relate to that. No one has ever
Well,
lived through an alien invasion,
well,
nor
how are they defeated in the end?
well, I don't know if you mind me spoiling it for you.
That's fine.
Well, ultimately, it's germs. They're defeated not by anything that we can build or create, but because they're just not acclimatized to all of Earth's pathogens, and
Yeah.
so they just die of disease essentially. And that's why. Because another thing is that the tripods they're terraforming Earth. The reason why they're capturing and killing all these people is because they're essentially boiling them down and creating this like this red these like red vines, like this red moss stuff, and they're using that to terraform Earth to make it more acceptable to Martians.
Yeah.
And yeah, but eventually, yeah, it's germs that kill them. Which yeah, so which was clever, I thought. I mean, some people said it wasn't really that satisfying that, oh, well, germs did it, but I mean that's realistic because nothing that the humans were doing was going to stop
it's
them.
very realistic. I think what you could have done is have, you know, the protagonist come up with this idea that, what if we, throw germs at them, or like he sees
Throw
one of
germs at them.
yeah, or like he sees one of the aliens like reacting badly to someone who like has a cold, and then they're like, oh, we can weaponize this. Because even when you have this super unstoppable galactic threat, there is something to be said about it's very satisfying when you have people who are not more powerful than the average person, but not like Superman level powerful, and they just they can fit in with just regular people and they take down this massive threat. And that's where you get like the really inspiring.
Sure, yeah,
That's why it's like so cool to see Batman fight alongside Superman against these kind of galactic things.
yeah, yeah,
And that's
and
yeah, like it's not like I hate Superman, but I don't know. I think it's just more interesting to have vulnerable heroes.
No, of course. Oftentimes those are what make, at least, for us personally, those are some of our favorite heroes. I mean, that's pretty much the Spider-Man model,
Yeah.
where it's the epitome of relatability and the epitome of, you can see yourself behind that mask. You can see yourself in these situations. You can relate to a lot of those earthbound struggles because that's everyday life. And yeah, I mean that's why Spider-Man's my favorite hero. I know you're obviously a huge fan of the character as well, so nothing against that at all. Obviously, relatability is a huge asset. But the reason why it doesn't bother me with super powerful characters like a Superman or that kind of thing, and this is how it relates back to the Eternals, is, just because the stakes are so high and the scale is so big doesn't mean you can't tell a really good, compelling, interesting story that draws you in and captivates you, even if you can't see yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
It's and I think another good example of this is the first Godzilla reboot from, I think it was 2014, the Gareth Edwards Godzilla movie. That was really good, and that was a movie that you did feel the tension. You did feel the fear of the Mutos and their attacks. And even, at that point, we weren't sure whether Godzilla was a good guy or not. There were a lot of scenes that put it on the ground level. Like for instance, a great example is the airport scene in Honolulu. I don't know if have you seen?
I may have. I'm not sure.
Okay, I'd highly recommend it. I think it's on HBO Max. There's a scene at the airport, the Honolulu International Airport, on the tarmac, and there's, like how they have the air trains at the airport that can take you from terminal to terminal.
Yeah.
Well, the main guy, the hero, Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's like, this little girl's like lost her parents because they went on, they went on an earlier train, and so he's like, he's like being a good guy and making sure that she gets to the next terminal so she can, meet up with her parents. And it's nighttime, and this gigantic Muto, which is like this giant spider thing, this giant like spider-like kaiju, is over the monorail tracks in front of the train. And because this train is automated, it can't obviously stop and go backwards. So you just feel the tension of everybody on this train that cannot stop, that is just automated to go forward, going right into the jaws of this Muto. That's a situation on a scale that is completely unrelatable. It's a scenario that's completely, fantastical. But you feel that tension because there are still personal stakes. And that's the same thing when, Superman fights, a Brainiac, say. And it's the same thing that I wanted to say about the Eternals, because, I think that the abilities, and we got a little taste of it in this trailer, these Eternals are definitely very powerful. They're good. Their power level definitely puts them more at home on the galactic side of the MCU than the Earthbound side.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's going to be interesting to see how much of a threat the Deviants are, because I think that what we're going to see is, coming out of this movie, the Eternals are going to be some of the most powerful characters that exist in the MCU. I'm sure that the Deviants will be a problem, but, I think that the Eternals are kind of built for bigger threats. But even so, I think that it's the human elements and the human stories that we're going to get between these characters that's going to really propel this movie kind of into the, the higher score ranges.
Yeah.
Not because they're more powerful than perhaps the scenarios that they find themselves in. Like, for instance, even in the teaser, when they were showing us the Eternals popping up throughout history, I mean, it was literally like, they implied that the Eternals helped give the humans irrigation. Like, literally the foundation of civilization, that was the Eternals. So they're very powerful.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we can't still get a good story from them. And just, seeing this, these visuals with Richard Madden, obviously with the flight and laser eyes, very Superman reminiscent. That's what I wanted to say about that, because I think that's really going to be the core of the story. It's not necessarily even the threat level, but the emotional side.
It's going to be the story of them, like, coming together once again, kind of reuniting this broken family.
Exactly.
But I want to take a look at this creature, because you can see, maybe all the Deviants might actually be the same, because when it's first coming out of the water, it looks more like kind of that four-legged dog-like beast thing, but it also has these wings.
Hmm.
So that might be the case for all of them.
Yeah, it seems
Yeah,
like
like the
they seem
wings
to
are
take
like tucked
different.
on the side, and then they just kind of fold out.
Yeah, I think as we'll see later on in the trailer, these seem to take various different forms. But let's see here.
I'm not sure they
Or any
do.
war, all the other terrible things throughout history.
So this seems to be the fall of Tenochtitlan, I believe. Seems to be.
I don't know. You're the history buff.
Yeah, this looks like a conquistador guy. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see kind of the pyramids in the background.
Yeah. This is definitely either a Hiroshima or a Nagasaki.
Yeah.
By who?
And you can see just how moved they are. Clearly, they stick by their job, which is to, they can help out a bit. I say a bit, of course, small stuff like giving humanity
The
irrigation.
foundation of modern
Yeah.
agriculture.
Yeah, they help out around the edges, but clearly they're very moved that they can't do more to prevent human tragedies.
Yeah.
Conflicts and deviants are involved.
By who?
Actually, wait. Go back to that. Yeah. Look at the background there. It's like all these kind of ashy ruins. They might actually be like visiting the location of where whatever
Oh,
that bomb was.
maybe, yeah.
Which also, are the Eternals now, are they immune to radiation?
I mean,
Because if you
I mean,
step foot in Nagasaki or Hiroshima, like, after the
yeah.
bomb went off, you
I
now
mean,
have
they're
all times of cancer, my friends.
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing is that, I mean, you would have to be a human to get to be affected by radiation the way a human would, and the
Yeah,
Eternals are definitely not humans.
that is
So
true. If they're like these robot things, then
yeah. Or I mean, we don't even know if they're robots, but just
yeah,
they're
but like based on the
definitely.
energy source, like going in and like there's like the lash that closed. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, my take on it is I think it's going to be more magical than mechanical, but
Hmm.
yeah, but I think that yeah, no, I definitely don't think that they're going to be affected by any sort of radiation or anything
Germs.
like that. Yeah, yeah, any kind of environmental danger in the same way that you or I would.
Are involved.
By who?
Okay, so here's the money shot of the Celestial here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Big
wow.
red dude.
Yeah, this is quite something, I must say.
I think in the background those are rings, like asteroid belts, just to give you a sense of scale.
Yeah. Yeah, really cool looking.
We need to find the others.
Yep, reuniting.
I haven't seen some of them for centuries.
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of assembling the crew one at a time. Because you can see, like, as it progresses, there's like more and more of them together.
Yeah.
Where there was 4 and they were meeting up with the 5th person.
Yeah, and also it should be said that
Or
clearly
5 meeting up
this,
with the 6th.
yeah, also as you can see, it's clearly not an uncontroversial process of getting everybody back together.
Yeah,
That's I think going to be another big source of conflicts is just the Eternals between themselves.
yeah.
Because as they've said, I mean, they haven't seen each other for centuries, so I'm sure people have developed their own agendas in that time.
Hello.
This is what the end of the world looks like. At least we have front row seats.
You know what's never saved the planet? Your sarcasm.
Unearthing their ship.
Their ship was lost and
We've loved
buried.
these people since the
Yeah.
day we arrived. When you love
I really like the costume design, I have to say. I like how everybody's kind of got their own unique design and their own kind of color palette.
Yeah, and it's cool that Marvel is actually kind of leaning more into the comic accurate, very colorful. I mean,
Yeah.
they still have this whole like armored latex vibe that they give every single hero.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they also gave it to Shang Chi,
Mm.
which it would be more interesting if he was wearing like a typical gi or like
Yeah.
martial arts wear and not just another armored latex bodysuit. But
Mm.
it's definitely leaning away from that like paramilitary look that
Yeah,
all these other heroes previously had. So it's
yeah,
interesting because like
yeah. But
Scarlet Witch, she has a more comic accurate costume now. Um,
we just saw with
Sam
classic Loki.
Wilson, yeah, classic Loki. Sam Wilson now has his comic accurate kind of white accented Captain America costume.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so a lot of
Yeah,
that, and this seems to be continuing in that trend.
yeah. Which I really like that kind of making the, yeah, as you said, making the costumes more colorful, more comic accurate, and just more varied as well.
Yeah, a diversity of material would be nice.
Yeah,
But it is what it is.
yeah. So I quite like that.
When you love something, you protect it.
Yeah, so it does seem like.
Reminds me, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say this reminds me so much of the scene in Infinity War
Where
when
Doctor Strange like changes the thing into butterflies.
yeah, or even when Thanos uses the Reality Stone in
Oh
the
wait, yeah, that's
collector's
that's what it was.
area. Yeah,
No, that's yeah, there's that where he used the reality stone, and then there's also he used it to change a um wait, was it him or was it Doctor Strange that transformed the black hole into butterflies?
yeah, that was Doctor
That was
Strange.
okay, that was Doctor Strange.
On the that was the Titan fight. Yeah,
Yeah.
really
Um
cool.
yeah, but I think you're right in that, all their powers are a lot more magic based than
Mm.
pseudoscience technology based because they just turned a bus into rose petals. Like that seems like
Yeah,
magic to me.
yeah, and who is that actually? Because that's yeah, no, that because here's Kit Harington here. So who is this that's actually doing this? I don't know if we've looked at that. Oh, I
Um,
think no, that's Gemma Chan. I think. Because we
she's
just saw her there.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there she is. So I think that's Gemma Chan who's doing that. That's cool.
Finger blasting. He's
Yeah,
finger blasting
I,
the deviants.
yeah, I love to see like does the finger gun thing. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we
That's
go.
a
I wanted to talk
different
about this.
So that is
So
a
here's a celestial, and I mean, is he forming a galaxy here?
it
I mean, is that what I'm seeing?
looks like it. He is also I would it seems like that's a different celestial because he's green instead of
Yeah,
red.
this is definitely a different one.
And then the
But
previous one we saw was purple.
yeah.
Is there a celestial for each Infinity Stone?
Oh,
I
don't
don't know
know.
anything about the Celestials.
Yeah, but I'd be surprised if they went that route though, because I really think
Yeah,
the Marvelous.
they're dumping the
Yeah,
Infinity Stones.
yeah, but yeah, this is definitely a different celestial than the one we saw earlier. But I mean, I wanted to pause on this because it just goes to show you the immense size. I mean, it's almost unfathomable. I mean, this thing is if this thing is doing what we think it's doing, and it's forming a galaxy. I mean, that's even bigger than Galactus. I mean, Galactus is big, but he's not galaxy size big.
Yeah, he's
I
like
mean,
his head is the size of a planet, not
yeah, not this.
thumb is the size of a you know.
Yeah, yeah. This is almost unfathomably big if he's just forming a galaxy in his hands.
Yeah, can you go back and like play the full clip of that? So he like appears out of nowhere, and then there's just kind of this swirl.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe it's possible that the Celestials did create entire galaxies, but to me this looks like a magic simulation.
Maybe.
Like a kind of 3D magic hologram type of thing where they're showing what the Celestial did, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Or
That is
maybe
certainly
it's just absorbing energy from the universe too, instead of
Yeah.
forming into a galaxy. I mean, it's kind of impossible to tell, but
Yeah, I mean, as you said, I mean, this could be a projection, this could be a simulation, but if it is, literal, then I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, the Celestials were already obviously very big deals in the comics, but
But
this is next level.
yeah.
This is really next level. So, wow. Okay, so this is the guy you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he seems to
he's
be Mr. Deviant, controller of the deviant creatures.
I guess so. Yeah, well, for one thing, he's definitely different than the deviant we saw earlier. So it seems like there's at least some degree of variety. But yeah, this guy is definitely
the texture to me seems somewhat similar, where he's kind of that black, like veiny, kind of muscly, like fibrous texture to him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, but like you said, I agree with you that this guy definitely is more intelligent than the other deviants that just seem to be like rampaging monsters. This guy seems to have some degree of control. But here's what I want to ask you, because obviously we don't have a lot to go off of here, but I just have a feeling with this guy. Do you think that he's really going to be the main antagonist of this movie? That this guy is the big threat?
Oh shit. I was gonna say yes, but then you asked me that question. And now I don't know, because he doesn't really give off main antagonist vibes. Right?
That's what I was thinking.
He gives off like mini boss vibes, or like
exactly
shady side character vibes.
Yeah, like he would be a very high level goon, but I don't know if he rises to the level of main antagonist. That's just my kind of the vibe I get from it. It feels a little bit like, and again, could very well be wrong here. This is not me making a prediction, but I just get a vibe from these deviants that I think this could be a red herring, like the Skrulls were in Captain Marvel. Like, remember when we went into Captain Marvel, all of the trailers suggested that the Skrulls are going to be the main villains. Of course, that's not what ended up happening.
Yeah.
I think that we're going to see a similar thing happen here, where, the deviants are presented as going to be the main opposition, but I don't know. I feel like once the Eternals are united, I don't think the deviants or this guy is going to be a big enough challenge for them. I think there's got to be something bigger happening here.
Yeah, it's either that or something really similar in which, he's bad and those creatures are bad, but they are not necessarily the deviants themselves.
Yeah, or even better example,
something else entirely, or maybe the deviants have like hidden themselves among the I was gonna say hidden themselves among the humans, but then that's exactly copying those Skrulls, and we're already gonna do our own. The Avengers are gonna do their own kind of Secret Wars thing down the line.
Yeah, but here's an even better example: Ronan the Accuser from Guardians of the Galaxy. He was set up as kind of the big bad, and I mean, he was kind of the big bad, but not really. I mean, he was just, Thanos's, lapdog, pretty much.
So, yeah, I think...
This guy feels like Ronan to me.
Yeah, he does have Ronan energy, so I think he's going to serve a similar purpose, where he's just kind of this generic bad guy that kind of brings... That just kind of brings all of the Eternals together to fight him. But he's not going to pose much of a threat throughout the movie. Maybe he'll just do more of a thing where he's like hunting them. Yeah. Because in Guardians of the Galaxy, the majority of the movie is, them, kind of... They have this like weird introduction in the plaza where they're, all fighting and going after this orb. And then they all get thrown into prison, and then they have to break out of prison together. But like the majority of the movie was them kind of becoming a team. And that might be what this also does. Where the majority of the movie is them becoming a team, and that's what the movie is about. And then you kind of have this bad guy who's just, Mr. Bad Guy.
Yeah, like really, I mean, it doesn't seem like, and also very similar to that, and to go off of that, I think that's exactly what it's going to be, or very similar to that. And, much in the same way, Ronan, he didn't like have a personal vendetta against Peter Quill or Guardians of the Galaxy. They were just getting in the way of him achieving the thing that he wanted to achieve. I think it could be a similar situation here where I don't know if this head deviant is going to really have any personal animus towards the Eternals. They're just obstacles to him.
Because the Eternals were sent to Earth to protect Earth from the Deviants. So the Deviants already have their own kind of agenda.
Yeah.
And the Eternals are just kind of a thorn in their side.
Exactly.
I would imagine that the Deviants are like a kind of a universal thing where they just like kill everything and eat everything and steal energy or whatever.
A la Thanos.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. Again, could very well be wrong, but I feel like this guy, the head deviant, there's something else going on here. I don't feel like he's gonna be the final antagonist of this movie. I think that he's gonna be a challenge, but I think that by the third act, there's going to be a bigger threat revealed, and maybe it doesn't even lead to a fight per se, but there's gonna be some power behind the throne that is going to be, something that is more appropriate to the power level of all the Eternals united, not separated.
Yeah. So we had not seen the Deviants, and then we see these creatures and that guy, which would lead us to believe that they are the Deviants. But they could just be Deviants. And I say that because a really interesting possibility would be, what if there were deviant Celestials? Because you talked earlier about, how the Eternals have this power level that's meant to take on more, cosmic galactic threats.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to save Earth from a deviant Celestial.
That would be something.
Likely?
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible.
If that's like,
I think that isn't. Yeah.
Or maybe there was just like a rogue Celestial that created the Deviants, and then like a different Celestial was like, "Hey, fuck you! I'm gonna create the Eternals."
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. I don't know, but I think that would definitely be, I think, more appropriate to where we're going to be by the end of this movie. Yeah. So I think it's a distinct possibility. Oh, and hold on, this one can fly.
Yeah, well, so the one that came out of the beach had wings. So I think
this is just a flying version of it.
Well, no, I think they can all fly. I think they all kind of look the same, with that they're kind of that four-legged dog beast, but then they have wings that can kind of like fold out and then they can fly.
Right. Okay.
And it looks like he's fighting it. So the one on the beach, he was fighting in costume. This one, he's fighting in jeans and a t-shirt. So this is definitely before they have the entire band together.
Yeah.
It might even be like he goes to try to take on the threat and gets his ass handed to him, and he's like, you know what, we need the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, see, if you look closely, they have that same kind of black, fibrous, and like gold streaks that the dude had.
Yeah.
Which made me believe that, he's controlling them, they're related, they're all...
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, no, that guy, I think, is definitely in charge of these just rampaging ones. No doubt about that.
They have a similar design to the Outriders from Infinity War.
Oh, yeah.
Thanos
yeah, they
is
do.
Like dog-like creatures.
Yeah, just be pretty much just bigger.
Yeah.
Bigger and more armored, I would say.
I hope there's not another, like, the Eternals fighting a giant swarm of these creatures type of thing, because... Marvel falls victim to that, where it's, instead of one big bad, they have a bunch of tiny bads.
Yeah.
Like, that's not as interesting.
Yeah, no, I definitely hope they don't do that, because as you said, I mean, we've done that before. It's kind of well tread ground. But I'm not too worried about that, just because you have a really talented director and writing team. I think I trust them to come up with something more clever than that.
Yeah.
perfect safe house. I mean, what's this even made of? Vibranium?
Fall collection. IKEA.
Classic Marvel trailer, and on a joke.
Yep.
But it's good though. um, and also, it's interesting because that means the Eternals are aware of Wakanda. So
Yeah.
clearly, Wakanda has been hidden from the rest of the world, but the Eternals are they're in the know. So, well, or then again, maybe not. I mean, this is in the present day of the MCU, so the Wakanda has since opened itself to the world. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had some special insight into Wakanda before
Yeah.
the before the present day of the MCU. But that is the Eternals trailer. I thought it was great, did its job, was very effective, and it built on my hype to see it.
Yeah, we got a bunch of new stuff in this, and before I was like, because like I was gonna wait to see if I was already always gonna see the Eternals because it's Marvel, but I didn't have high hopes because I just don't know the characters, but seeing this movie is a lot more developed. It definitely has its own legs to stand on. I think that the trailer made it very clear.
Yeah.
So I'm now officially grade A excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just one last note on it. At the very end of the trailer, you can see that November 5th release date. So clearly Disney is confident about their release schedule and staying put. Recently, we've seen we've seen a little bit of schedules moving around at other studios. Venom got pushed back a couple of weeks into October. But especially when it comes to MCU stuff, I find it's very telling with the release dates because, of course, with the whole greater picture of Phase 4 being so interconnected, if you move one thing, that causes a knock-on effect to 12 other things.
Yeah.
And so when I see that, they're putting this trailer out now, even in the midst of uncertainty with the Delta variant and other things, they're confident about keeping the Eternals coming out at the beginning of November.
But
that tells me
a theaters only release.
It is a theaters only release. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Theaters only.
Oh, so they are confident then.
Yeah, they're confident, and it also tells me that the events of the Eternals, or it doesn't tell me, but it leads me to believe even more so that the events of the Eternals will definitely have more immediate ramifications than the Eternals 2 or whatever it may be. These characters will pop up again in some other project in the near future, whether that be on the multiverse crisis side of things with Doctor Strange or the Thunderbolts side of things with what else do we have coming up with that? A bunch of stuff. We've got the next Captain America movie.
Yeah, we're gonna get Captain America 4.
Yeah, we have
There's gonna be a Secret Wars.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, the
that's
Hawkeye
coming out
show
later this year. Yeah, Secret Wars, as you said. A bunch of the
Captain Marvel 2.
Yeah, well, She-Hulk I think is coming out next year. So, yeah. So, and I would definitely suspect probably more so on the multiverse crisis side of things, just because that's kind of closer to where they are. But
don't know because the Multiverse of Madness is supposed to be a kind of Avengers film in the way that Civil War was an Avengers film.
Yeah.
But at that point, we will only have had the one Eternals movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a little early to suddenly include them in that whole group film.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
They're still unfamiliar, especially because there's so many of them. I mean, there's 12?
Yeah.
Of the Eternals.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't expect them to feature prominently, if at all, honestly.
Yeah,
but I
would
think
imagine they're not going to be in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, nor would I. But I think that when you talk about which side of the MCU will they kind of fit into, I think it's going to be more so that side of things, the WandaVision, Loki side of things, than the Thunderbolt side of things with Black Widow and Hawkeye and all that. So, but we will see. I think there's a certain beauty in, even after 2 trailers, still having so much we don't know. So I have to give Marvel credit. They do a pretty good job of, not always, but most of the time, they do a pretty good job of not giving away the whole movie in the trailer. So So I appreciate that. And that's definitely true here because we still have a lot of questions, but this was a good trailer.
All right, well, I think that just about wraps it up. I don't know if you have any final thoughts to say, but
Nope, just a good trailer. Looking forward to the movie.
yeah, exciting
Here
stuff.
comes November.
All right, well, thank you everybody for listening. I hope this trailer didn't catch you too off guard like it did us. We know Marvel is just dropping them on a dime whenever they feel like. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I hope you gave it a listen. If you made it this far, thank you. Please leave a like and comment, subscribe. We really appreciate your support in any way. It all helps greatly, so thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
All right, good night, everybody.
Goodbye.